Climate lockdowns are on their way because the news says so. Let's take a look at what they have to say. Well, what's going on, people? Well, Canada's moving in the right direction. Guilbeault, I can't even pronounce the guy's name. Lauds lockdowns for cutting emissions. What are they talking about? This is our friends at True North reporting this. Canada is moving in the right direction. Guilbeault, Lauds lockdowns for cutting emissions. So there it is right there. Government imposed lockdowns and travel bans cut Canada's greenhouse emissions and environment Mr. Steven Guilbeault couldn't be happier. So according to Blacklock's reporter, a Department of Environment report acknowledged that the government's climate targets benefited from public health restrictions. So here it is there. So let's go to CP24 confirms that Canada's emissions plummet during the first year of COVID-19 pandemic. So what are they doing? Well, they're discussing that maybe having lockdowns for cutting down emissions maybe something in the works. And that's something we've been talking about. It's climate lockdowns, right? In 2019, they were trying to lock down the world when the entire planet was in protest. 2019, the year of the protest. So what does Canada emit? This is Canada's greenhouse emissions. Burning electricity for heat. Okay. Transportation. So this is a rough estimate here of where it goes and how it's produced and where it's come. Basically what we're burning and what we're adding. So here it is. Here, this is the MEI. So prosperous society thingy here, thingamajiggy here, and there it is. This is a more updated. Try to find something more updated, where GHG emissions by country, millions of tons by CO2 equivalent. So China, obviously, you move the world's production to a corner of the world, you're going to get a lot of pollution. Then there comes the United States of America, because they export a ton of inflation. There's the European Union because of their food and agriculture sector that's being destroyed right now as we speak. Then you got India, again, with its food and agricultural sector. And then you got Russia because of its oil and crude, natural gas exports, right? Then you got Japan there because of plastics and production back in the 80s. And then Brazil's there again with exports and stuff. Germany, Canada, they barely exports anything, shut down pipelines, shut down everything, shut down our timber lumber industry, made it impossible for private sector to work. It's still on this graph, but look how far down the list it is in producing emissions. So there's Norway there, Norway, Singapore, and France. They're all pretty much in the same. This is probably manipulated to make Canada look like it's got to go down. So emissions per capita per ton CO2 equivalent. So there it is there. Australia, Canada, the United States, Russia, Germany, Singapore. This is CO2 equivalent, tons of CO2 equivalent. And that's basically oxygen that's being produced, or oxygen equivalent to how much we're using to how much oxygen we're producing. I think that's how it works. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Oh, well. So here it is right here. So what have we been talking about on the channel? You go on the channel Time Machine, you find all kinds of goodies here. Power outages in the freezing cold to save us from climate change over global warming or whatever. Grocery store closures loom. Climate change could lead to power outages, higher power costs. And then we go into, let's get into this older stuff. I support climate change, but this is 2 years ago. This is when the world was in a complete utter array, and they didn't know what to do back then, how to shut the protesting down all over the world. And they were taking protests of banking, wage subsidy, housing affordability. The news was taking protests and putting it all as climate change. And it wasn't about climate change. They had a few people with two signs, and they labeled it as climate change. Mike in the Night, mass government misinformation via climate change, climate lockdowns ahead 4 years ago. Chinese riots and protests will spark climate lockdowns over climate change. This is before we figured out that we're going to pull the trigger on the pandemic, because no one's going to believe this, right? So that's how what do I got here? Global warming is here. This is a great video I made. Greta, we need you. And I made this video because parts of Portuguese Africa were completely becoming deforested. Entire swaths. The Chinese were deforesting parts of Africa, and where was Greta there, right? Mike in the Night, The Great Reset. Well, that's an old one. So there's more and more stuff here, and I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. So basically, this guy's back in the news. True North reporting it again. Guilbeault says climate change is killing people. Opposes cuts to fuel prices. Now, Canada was one of the first countries to report its first death. It was about a year ago now, of climate change. Its first climate change death. Yes. I think we even reported that too. So that's what's happening here. So these guys are really, really pushing on the climate issue. So there's my gas bill here if you guys want to search across the old channel that's banned still. Let's read my natural gas bill. So if you could take a peek at right here, look at this. 3 years, this is 3 years ago. Look at this. There's the cost of gas right there. Look how expensive it is. And then cost of transportation, even though it's in the pipes. Then up there for 129 is cost of regulation or some other crap. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this right here. Carbon tax from 3 years ago. Look, 50. Yeah, $50.23. You know what I pay for carbon tax now? Like over $130, $150. And then imperial operating municipal, that goes to the city here. And there it is right there. So there it is, $429 gas bill, $118 from the last month, 2 years ago. And this one's broken down a little bit better so you can see it. So they're already, they're there. This is a deliberate attack on the middle class, period. There's no question, if, ands, and about that. The private sector that built everything is being attacked by its own government that we are funding. Woo! And then it keeps going into, these guys at True North do a really good job. Trudeau climate obsession is making our economic problems much worse. And then this is from 2021 November. And Justin Trudeau and other world leaders are busy virtual signaling about climate and peddling doomsday alarmists. Meanwhile, there are real economic problems that are going to get worse. So there it is there. Like, I mean, what have we been talking about on here? We've been talking about this for years. Food prices going up, what I pay for food. And look at that, 6 years ago. Food prices going up and the price of food prices. Mike in the Wars, massive food shortage ahead, going broke. The federalization of transportation ahead. So more and more stuff. Look at this. Pensioners can't afford food. 2 years ago, government's asking citizens to stockpile food. 5 years ago. So empty store shelves, food shortages a year ago. So Mike in the Night, political mind games, food shortage. And this is what they're doing, you know. $160 in food purchase gets you flagged from... Oh, yeah, this is important. They're actually going to start flagging people that spend X amount of money on food and put you on a list, basically, that you're overbuying food, right? So there it is right there. Food prices tracking system. Yeah, that's the food price tracking system they've been working on. And condo prices across Canada hit an all-time high. Next, food, and then energy, then logistics 4 years ago. And Canadian middle class disappearing. Target closing in Canada. Food becoming unaffordable 7 years ago. I kind of wanted to throw this out there because it's kind of important because they are pushing for climate lockdowns. Yes! Climate lockdowns. Yeah, so they've been pushing for this for a while. Hopefully, somebody could go on Joe Rogan and talk about this so then it becomes a thing. The aggregate between Joe Rogan and reality that's happening is about 6 years. So Joe, if you're watching this, buddy, probably not because you have better things to do. Get somebody on the show to talk about climate lockdowns, and it's going to be a thing. This way, it gets out there. This way, you know, it's the way to get things done right and to get, you know, climate lockdowns via, and then you could talk about a little bit of the food crisis and food shortage we're going through too, and how prices at the pumps and everything's going to go up. Do a lockdown and get somebody on the show that's going to show the graphs, that's actually going to show, look, this is Canada's emissions, this is what this is, and then they're locking down this country and they're attacking. But Mike, Joe Rogan's in America. What does he care about what's happening in Canada? Connect the dots across the Commonwealth and the blue states. You'll see the pattern. We've been doing this for the last 10 years. Not 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Lots of love. I think the main YouTube channel is going to be unlocked in a few days. So I'm just going to be putting up real estate videos on there. Hopefully that doesn't flag my channel down on that channel. And then we could put more spicy stuff on the backup channel and real stuff on the backup channel. And then from there, we could do... I have other platforms that I post on too. Odyssey is where we stream on because we just can't talk about anything on any other platform. Right? You know what I'm saying? So let me know what you guys think. Comments below. Lots of love. Woo! Mike Martins here. Thanks for watching. I have spoken.